All right, and there we are live for our Sunday before Christmas stream. I'm Pat. We have Ben and Mike with us as well tonight. Ben is coming from South Carolina. Mike's coming from Kansas City, and I think we're gonna start this evening off by doing kind of two of the reviews, and then we'll kind of slide into maybe what some of our favorite holiday whiskeys are while we drink one. I figure the Glenfiddich could possibly sway me. Maybe it jumps up on the list. I don't know. So I think we're going to start off with Union Horse Distilling. Okay. And do you have any information on that one, since it's another one down by your neck of the woods?
I do, yeah. So it actually is their Rolling Standard 4-grain. Union Horse started in 2010, and it actually was called Dark Horse. And they operated like that for a few years, but then there was a brewery in, I want to say it's either Michigan or Minnesota, and then a winery in California that both were not happy about that name. Mm-hmm. So they finally settled and they changed to Union Horse 3 years ago. But they do their own milling and everything. They've always made their own stuff. It's family owned. Family members are master distillers and sales and running the company. They're very nice people. That's one I have done the tour on. They make some nice spirits. They have a really nice barrel proof rye. The 4-grain, this one is it's the batch 1, which I've had the other batches and they're fine. It's a nice easy 4-grain whiskey, but I was at a tasting a couple years ago, and one of the distillers, not one of the family members, came to it, and he liked everybody and thought we were okay. And then he leaves and comes back, and he has a violin case, and he opens up this violin case, and it has a bottle of batch 1 and 2 Glencairns in it, and he grabbed that current batch at that time, I think was batch 3, and it was nice. It was a very nice whiskey. He goes, now try this, and this one, the batch 1, just has a much thicker mouthfeel to it. Head to head, it beat the other one hands down, just on mouthfeel alone. Taste and everything was fine, but mouthfeel alone, it's not a real heavy whiskey. It's not a high ABV. It's 46%, which is good, but it's not, there's not a big bite to it, but it's just got a really nice mouth coating. But it's it's their malt. Their malt whiskey with let's see, I can't remember. I think I wrote this down here on the notes. It's their mix of their wheated bourbon, their malt whiskey, to create the 4-grain.
Okay, so these are some of the ones they already made then.
Yeah.
I'm starting to notice how Kansas City is quietly becoming like a little mini whiskey capital. Like, it's just adding like, oh, we have like 2 or 3 more distilleries you could check out if you ever came to visit.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's not blowing up like that in some other places. It's just like around there is like, well, it's like 5-6 more distilleries that I've noticed. No, I'm sure they've been there for a couple of years, but I didn't know about them.
Yeah, there's an obscene amount of breweries. I mean, driving down the area, it's like, shit, there's like 4 more breweries down here. I mean, just all, but it's just amazing. It's like I had no idea that was there, and it's right by where I work, and I've never noticed it, and they just pop up.
Yeah, we're kind of like that here in Green Bay. I think where there's 8 or 9 distilleries in Green Bay alone. I mean, breweries alone. Yeah. So it gets kind of packed. I'm glad they're all doing well, but I want to say I'm surprised, but that means we do drink quite a bit here.
Somebody's got to do it.
Someone has to come up to it. Oh, hey, Ice House, how you doing? Good to see you. All right, I'm gonna get it on my nose. I was already sniffing it a couple times, but I'm getting like a light, like little sawdust kind of smell.
Yeah.
Obviously, some of the rye spice, but a little bit of the malt I was getting before, where I was getting a little of that like kind of bread note.
Yeah.
I wish the cameras could pick up how it's clinging to the glass on this. It's nice and thick.
Yeah, it's almost got a little wall like right up towards the top before it falls down. all the way around the glass, and then it comes down in like little tiny streaks. But yeah, it holds it up top for quite a while before it decides to come down. That's super oily. Oh, sorry. See, I'm doing it. I'm not even putting it up there myself. But yeah. I know this is the first one, so maybe my nose isn't working the best right now, but a little bit of light citrus.
I get a little almond too.
I almost want to say I'm getting a little bit of black tea. No. It's something a little earthy, though. All right, whatever. Sorry about that. Hey, Arthur. Thanks for stopping in. How's Texas treating you? Okay. I don't want to jump in if you guys can give your nose or anything, but taste definitely. The rye comes through in there, not like super overpowering, but it's in there.
Yeah.
And it is a little black licorice-y. Not a lot though. Just a little.
Yeah, it has a lot more spice on the palate than what I would expect.
Yeah. Completely, because I was gonna say that's where this on that one I got like a much deeper, like allspice kind of note. A little bit baking spice. Now I'm just having a problem trying to decipher out too much of the different foregrains that are in here. And I almost like trying to find flavors rather than like just letting them happen.
Yeah. I hit you with some nice black pepper on the mid palate.
Yeah.
And on the nose for me, I got, at first there was a good bit of ethanol right off the top. And then it's more of the little touch of maple, brown sugars, caramel, and a little bit of a vanilla. Just it's almost, the vanilla is almost buried in there a little bit.
Yeah. It is definitely on the palate. It's way back there.
Yeah.
Fair amount of fruit too.
Whew. Sorry, the pepper got me. Went down the wrong tube there. Yeah, it must be the first drink. I'm just getting a bunch of rye.
The rye comes through pretty, not overpowering, but I mean it's there, and it lets you know it's there.
It's definitely there.
There behind it, I just started getting like a little tart, like stone fruit behind the rye for like a split second after I swallow. Oh, coughing kind of screwed me up. Maybe that's the new tactic. Cough, open everything up and see how it is afterwards.
Did you have anything before you started?
No, I did not. So that's why I'm going to pour a little bit more here. So it was not fair. What are the people in the chat drinking? I see Arthur says it's flowing, but what the hell are you actually having down there?
Does the whiskey flow like wine, Arthur?
In my house, it does.
Oh, wine? What's that?
Yeah.
Okay. Now that this is like the second drink, I'm getting much more like you said, brown sugar, vanilla sitting in the back. There's definitely a couple more flavors popping out here.
Yeah.
So, a couple of drops of water added to mine, and a little bit of citrus on the nose, but then the palate, it goes completely astringent, and it's just all barrel.
All right.
Almost mouth puckering.
I'll have to give that a try.
Okay. It does lighten up quite a bit, even with just a couple drops.
Yeah.
Like on the nose.
Yeah.
Yeah, that totally hides the rye spice, even though it wasn't as big on the nose. It almost fades away a little bit.
It
Yeah.
really does. Yep.
A lot of hay, the water in it. You smell it.
Yeah.
I like the proof on this. I would be. I mean, I'm always curious what higher proof would be like. I don't know. Well, of course, it'd be impossible now to have this exact one at a higher proof, but I'd be curious what it would be like at a higher proof with those grains in there. But I'm afraid that the proof it'd be fighting with that spice.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I don't like this one with a couple drops in it.
I don't either, especially on the palate. It just, for me, it went really sour. It went really astringent, and I didn't get any improvement out of it at all.
No, it killed.
That's really good. Yeah.
I think it killed some of the rye spice, and it flattened out. Like you said, it got a little more of a hay kind of feel to it, but not very overpowering. That was weird.
Yeah,
that one actually does have a pretty different mouth feel to it. Oh, we all saw it at the same time. Let me put that up there, Jim.
Where did you get it, Jim?
Yeah, because we noticed that seal box all of a sudden is all out of the Rua. Like it's like a day or two after the episode. I'm not taking credit for it, but I mean I will mention it. We did say it quite a bit. Yeah,
a lot.
So I know it was out of there, and it was one other place it was missing from too. So, but that was a good buy. We hope you're happy with it, Jim. I think all of us were. So
yeah.
Fortunately, I have some other sources other than Sealbox for the Rua. So,
well, it's how far away from you is it?
About 2.5 hours to the distillery. So, there's a few local shops that keep them on hand. So,
and like I said, it was Esquire just said that was Carolina's best whiskey out of the state was Rua for them. So, I have to agree that was a pretty nice choice.
Yeah.
Okay, so this one was good, but it didn't jump out at me as anything like wildly crazy exciting.
Right.
I do like it better at the higher percentage. Like you said, I guess it's only 46. So if we're at 50 something, you might.
Yeah.
I am gonna wonder, but it's not worth wondering over. But it was a very nice dram. I got the rye spice and a couple other nice flavors out of it.
Yeah.
I feel like the rye, the corn, and the malt kind of duke it out a little bit in waves. I keep getting notes of one and then the other, and then notes of the other, and almost like they're kind of fighting for dominance here.
Yeah.
It was like when I didn't open my mouth before, it was like the malt was kind of trying to beat everything up and like be the winner until like I opened my mouth and let some air in, and then it was like the rye.
Yeah. Kind
of shot to the surface then, but up until then, you could tell like the malt was trying to win out, and it maybe with some of the thicker oils in it too, because that was. Yeah. It is sticking around quite a bit. It's not a heavy bunch of flavor, but you can feel it still like grabbing onto your tongue.
Yeah, yeah. It's not, and not to beat the Rua drum, but the difference in it and how it comes in waves. It was more of softer waves that they just come in. It's like, oh, now here's this.
Right.
Oh, now this is coming, and this is just more like there's that. Now there's that. Now there's that. It just wasn't. It wasn't as easy going in there. It's still. It's not. I mean, I like it. It's nice, and it's definitely on its own. I think it's pretty good stuff. But because we said the R word, it's. Maybe you shouldn't say that word.
It doesn't taint everything. So
yeah. I mean, it's not sharp or spiky like you said, but I feel like there's a Royal Rumble going on in my mouth as far as which grain's going to dominate.
Yeah.
There's a fight for who's going to take dominance in there.
Yeah.
And it's not punchy alcohol-y fight. It's just like you said, kind of like a rolling kind of fill with it.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I dig that one. So I'm sure it's not some crazy price. So I think it probably fits inside like a standard $50-$60 bottle, somewhere in that range. Probably.
No, all of their stuff is like in 35-ish range, 30 to 35.
Oh, well, then that's
Especially for a local place, that local, technically small batch stuff. That's pretty good. The only thing that's around the 50-ish that I've seen is their barrel proof rye.
okay. Well, then they're giving you a pretty fair deal on what it is that they're getting.
Yeah.
35, there's nothing to argue about with that. That's really nice in the price range for something like that. And like you said, I remember when there were some craft distilleries around here and you could get stuff for that price, and all of a sudden it's like crept up $5 or $10. You're like, it's still worth it, but I remember when. So that always tags at you a little bit. You're like, I remember when Talisker Storm first came out and they were selling it for like 2 for $50, and I was like, yeah, this is great. Let's get 4. I'm not usually one to get 4 bottles. Like, we'll get 4 bottles of this. This is fine. And like now it's like some places it's $30, $40, or $50 a bottle. I'm like, still not a terrible price, but not the steal I remember I was getting.
Yeah.
I feel like that. I remember when is about every 6 months in the whiskey industry right now with the way.
Well, I think that's
going up.
Partially selective because it's weird how all like a lower whiskey in somewhat way, shape, or form every year kind of steps up and wins like some major world whiskey award, like how Henry McKenna 10 did, and it was 1792, even though it was foolproof this year. Yeah, like it's even the little guys are getting like, oh, your name's up there again, and your bottle just went up $10. So now the cheap bottle is $30, and you're like, what? No, that's not supposed to be that way.
It's getting harder to find value, especially in bourbons nowadays. And now, what is it? Whiskey Advocate, I think, named the Dickel Barreled and Bond their top whiskey of the year. So now I'm seeing that one disappear off the shelves around my area.
And I have not seen it on any shelves around me either. And that's what. And I had the same problem with I think it was the year before as the Ezra 7 barrel proof.
Mm-hmm.
And couldn't find it anywhere, and saw people are finding it, for $35. I could not find it, and then actually just got a bottle from a guy who picked it up in Alabama. It's like, oh yeah, I go down there all the time, bring back a whole bunch. Like, well, I'll take one because I can't find it, and same thing with it. There's no way I'll find the Dickel now.
Mm-hmm. It's obvious. It's just when something I don't know if warrants that level of award. You have it a lot of times, and you're like, that's nice. But it's not like, memorable, like blow your socks off, like everyone come try this. But I guess there'd be a point if I was in the industry for 20-some, 30-some years rating them, they might all start to flow together taste-wise too at some point. Where you're like, this is all the same. And it'd just be like what your taste buds kind of caught you on at one point. So, but let's see here. I don't know. I think that one's a nice one, but I think if you're ready, maybe we'll move on to the next one, the 6 and 20 Old Money.
All right.
And I just dig the name on this. I really do. I just like the name. Sounds like Old Money. I'm like, you get that feel, kind of like Tomstown did, where you get that kind of a feel without even like getting into the bottle or the whiskey itself. You kind of have a feel for it. So
that's a good old South term down here, especially, dealing with certain families or people in your town that old money versus new money kind of thing. But the story on this one, basically the distiller, his wife, when he decided to start the distillery, his wife said, you're going to make something that I can sip with you. And so his mission was to make a whiskey that was very smooth and easy drinking, that his wife could drink neat with him. And that's how he came up with the Old Money, the wheat whiskey.
That's a smart man.
So yeah, happy wife, happy life. Right?
That's right. Yeah.
But 6 and 20, that's about 20 minutes up the road from where I live, Piedmont, South Carolina. They started in 2011. Basically, two college buddies, David Rad and his name Robert Redmond. They were, I think, tailgating for a football game, and somebody had brought them a jar of moonshine, and they're all passing it around. And basically, David looks at Robert and says, "Hey, we can do better than this. You know, we could make something that's better than this." So that kind of birthed the whole business idea for them. And within a year, they had 6 and 20 up and running. First making a virgin wheat whiskey that was unaged. And then they were getting in some barrels of Kentucky bourbon and blending them together.
Okay.
And in the meantime, they're getting their production going more and getting stuff in barrels. So this one is primarily a true wheat whiskey. So it's wheat with a little bit of barley in the mash bill. And then they're aging it for 3 years, new charred oak barrels. And yeah, it's to me, it's nothing extraordinary, but it's really smooth. It is really easy sipping. There's some nice notes to it. But something I found when I toured the distillery, they're doing 5 distillation runs on their whiskey, whereas you see a lot of distillers do 2, maybe 3. And of all that I've sampled, they've all got a very similar mouthfeel, and I think that's how they're getting it to be very smooth and very easy drinking. They're stripping a lot of those flavors out of the distillate before it, goes into barrels. So
it's getting kind of more of like a light whiskey.
Almost, yeah, almost. I think they're pushing it. If I remember right, when by the time they finish their runs, they're right around 160. I think they're right at that upper limit, 160 or whatever that they can legally still call it a whiskey before they get ready to barrel it. But
you can definitely tell there's like a little bit. They said barley was in this too.
There's a little bit of barley.
A little bit of barley.
It's primarily wheat, and it's local. It's all their grains are sourced locally. So this comes from a farm that's maybe another 20-30 minutes up the road from the distillery.
It almost smells like a field, like late fall in a field, because it does have a little bit. It does have a really good wheat smell, but it's not like a complete like fresh wheat. It's like a little bit of obviously a mashed wheat, but
yeah,
it's just oddly fresh, but not like hay green or any type of green notes to it. It's more of like a dried out like wheat and grains in it. That's just a little bit flatter to it.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously I'm getting a little, I was going to say molasses, but that's almost too dark. So
to me, it's almost more maple. Almost.
Yeah, I was going to say it's got a sweeter note to it.
Mm-hmm.
And I get a little bit of praline pecan on the nose, and for me, a lot of what I get on the nose just carries right over to the palate.
I drank all mine
more of the
after Benjamin sent it to me, so I can't really comment on it live. But I had the honey and cinnamon and fresh cut wet wood is what I had when I first tasted it, and also from a damp hayfield that was just cut.
Yeah.
And I was definitely getting, more of the nut flavor coming through on the actual palate itself, like just a little bit in the nose. On the palate itself, I got a lot of that.
But yeah, that hay note, this exactly reminds me of my grandfather raised cattle, and so helping him for years, walking into the barn to grab a few small square bales to toss, and that's almost the smell of that hay that's been sitting there for months in the barn. That's kind of
nice and dried out, and you get a little bit of that maple on the flavor, on the taste too up front.
Right.
mixed with the honey. Those were all ones that I hit when I first tasted it. It's a unique combination of flavors in my mind. I mean, maybe just it's the proportions. I'm surprised how much of the maple I'm getting on the first like 2/3, and then all of it kind of fades away a little watery, but then you still get like a nice barrel note at the end. Not heavy, but it's nicely there. It's like a nice little fresh whiskey in my mind. I know it's got a couple like a little bit heavier notes, but I was gonna say it's not a heavy whiskey. It's not super, super oily either. That comes down pretty quick, especially compared to the last one.
It's proof down to 40%. And that's what, to me, this defines a good background whiskey. This is something I can sit back and relax and not put a lot of thought to, enjoy a football game or, read a book or whatever you want to do and just have something nice to enjoy, but not that I'm going to sit here and spend an hour trying to pick apart. But
no, but and then at the end it gets a little bit of a light bready note. But I like this. Like you said, I almost looking at it from that whole light whiskey standpoint. It's extremely flavorful if it were like a light whiskey. Because a lot of times I find those just like completely stripped out, and you get mostly just barrel notes out of it. Yeah. But this is, like you said, this is really nice background whiskey. Yeah, you can have this without a problem, and I don't think anyone's going to complain if they ever got it handed to them.
No. And I think that for me, that's the only. If I have a qualm about 6 and 20 distillery, it's that 5 distillation process. To me, I think it strips out a little too much flavor and potential that could be there. So obviously, if they're doing this with all of them, there's there's something they're going for. They've got a plan. They got an idea of what they're wanting their whiskeys to present. But for my personal taste, I like something that's got a little bit more depth and character. And I think just taking it 5 steps, maybe a little bit too much. Get a little. I heard Robert Licorice the other day talking about. I think they do 2.5 distillations with theirs. He likes a dirty wash. Because he said you get a lot more flavor and he likes the mouthfeel of that better, and I tend to agree on that, just for me personally. But
I can see this with it just being I don't know if it's probably, you said 3 years in a barrel, so even at 3 years in a barrel, there was no green notes to this.
Right.
There was none of that early young aged whiskey or alcohol burn feel at this at all. So I think they got what they were trying to avoid with some of that stuff. They sidestepped that completely. Mm-hmm. And then maybe it is, like you said, pulling it down to 4 someday and seeing where 1 or 2 batches kind of end up with instead of having 5. Like see if it's adding in a little bit more, cut a little more into the heads and the tails on the last one. Yeah. But she's a nice, friendly little whiskey. I'll say that. It's. Now, is this the same place you got something that was finished in a different barrel recently?
I was about to bring that up. The sample I'll be sending you guys next is the same, the Old Money distillate, but they aged it in a French Côte Rôtie barrel. They had 2 large casks that they aged those in, and then they put them into new charred oak to finish. So it's almost like a reversal of what you would normally think of the process. Mm-hmm. But to me, it takes this a whole several steps better. There's some nice fruit, nice earthiness that comes in that one. So I think you guys will enjoy that a lot. So I'll have that one coming your way very shortly. It's just sweet whiskey. But
there's a nice little earthiness in this one on the tail end. Mm-hmm. But I was thinking just with the other barrel kind of pull that maturation out, I can see how that would really kind of add 2 or 3 more layers that could really boost, like we're saying, just with the normal barrel, like we're looking for 2 or 3 more flavors or something with a little bit more punch to it. But no, this is that for just starting out really soon and already having like a 3-year-old. This is, and at 40%, this is really nice.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to seeing what they're going to do with the further they go along, and if they can get some more age on some stuff. They've got some interesting whiskeys because nothing is exactly conventional. So they have the wheat whiskey. They have a 5-grain bourbon. So they're using rice as the additional 5th grain.
Oh, okay.
And it's a very nice bourbon. And then they just released that heirloom rye that I've talked to you guys about that was phenomenal. And they're using I think it's called Seacoast Black Rye that's found almost exclusively on Edisto Island here in South Carolina. And that's got some amazing notes coming through it.
That's a nice another heirloom varietal that has some serious potential.
Yeah.
And how long did you say they've been around?
They started in 2011, and they had their first product coming out, I think, in early 2012.
Okay, so 6 years mark, or sorry, closer to 10. By the time you get
they're at that 8, close to 9-year mark.
That's good. I'll be intrigued to see what some of the other stuff they're doing does, because that's kind of like when I was at the first sample send out. There was this one from Yahara Bay that I said is just a nice, simple, friendly starter whiskey for people. You know, like if you're handing like here, you're not going to run away from this. You're not going to be scared of it. You're going to be contented. It should get you excited about trying to be like, well, is there stuff with more flavor? Is there stuff with, and I think that one fits kind of into that category too. If I was going to be introducing someone to whiskey, that one might be one too, because it's just nice, light, and friendly, and it's not overpowering. I mean, it's gone there's not a big finish on it or anything, so that's gone pretty quickly. So, excuse me, sorry about that.
I'm think to see though what I'm hoping to be able to go talk with them soon, because I'd love to find out if they've got and if they're willing to share. I think the potential for a whiskey like this with additional finishing, like whether they decide to use some sherry or port or something like that, to me, the way this whiskey lays out, it sets a nice foundation that you could really add some nuance, different flavors to if they decide they want to do some different finishing with it. So.
Or if they did some of that stuff where it's like we finished it in an Isla barrel, sherry barrel, and like a rum barrel, and then we played with it,
right?
And started to mix them together after that. I'd be like, yeah, that sounds delicious,
right? I've actually had the thought, because I do some playing around with mini barrels and finishing on whiskeys, is taking one of these and doing a little finish to it, and then taking a sample to them and go, hey, here's the potential you might could have if you think about it, but they get the heck out of here.
He's elbowing his way into a job.
Yeah. You can pay me in whiskey.
I would be happy with that on some level. Like, I'll take half a barrel.
Sure.
You guys just do the rest. But that was actually really nice. So I'm excited to see on the road. That always makes some of the stops a little bit easier when they're basically steps from your house.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna move us on again, just so we keep going down the list. And next one is the Glenfiddich Winter Storm, and this one is kind of playing into a little bit of the thing I wanted to, where I wanted people to pick their 3 best Christmas whiskeys.
Yeah.
This one is. A really nice white bottle like that. Like Mike said, let me get out of there. I'll bring it closer. It's a 21-year-old Glenfiddich before you do anything. So keep that in mind. I was going to say it's pretty beefy when you start looking at the 15, the 18, and other ones. But when the malt master Brian Kinsman went over to Niagara in Canada, he was trying to figure out some other unique finishes kind of for their experimental series they were doing, because I think this was their 3rd in the list of the experimental series. He met with Craig McDonald's of, I'm going to say it wrong, but it's Peeler Estates. He's the VP of the wine there, And he went out in the middle of the night and got to witness the ice wine collection where they'll let the grapes freeze, but it has to be at minus 10 degrees or more, and they have to cut them by moonlight for it to be considered ice wine. So like the little grapes are like little hard BBs,
Right.
when they get them. So they're actually carrying a much more sugar. So I give him credit. Like, not only did he see the barrel that way, he was like, I might as well go see how this works. And I'd be like, you know what? I've been outside in negative 10-degree weather and winter and dark. And I'm like, no, what? I don't need to be out here.
That's not the only thing that's hard BBs at minus 10.
Yeah, so yeah, I was like, well, credit for you for going over to witness that. Most of us would just say, you guys deal with that. But then I think it spends a year in the barrels that are there, and then it gets emptied and then gets shipped over to Scotland, where they finish it in the 21-year-old whiskey for 12 weeks in the ice wine barrels. Then they pull it out. They did test all the other kind of layers of them, like the 5, the 8, the 10, the 12, 15, but only the 21 and 22-year-olds were holding up to the sweetness of the wine. So they're like, we can't. I'm sure they'd love to put it out on like a 15-year, but they're like, no, we got to wait till it gets to be about a 20 for that to hold up.
Yeah.
So I don't know. This one, it definitely smells sweet on the nose. You definitely get like that grape influence, like a much bigger sugar content to it. And it's weird. It does have like almost like a winter kind of cold smell to it.
Yeah.
Which I don't know how to explain, but like if you live in the frozen climates, like sometimes you just go outside and you breathe in and it like almost like frosts up your nose.
Yeah. Yeah, it's cold. I get that when I nose it. It's not alcohol on the nose. It's a cold air with the fruit and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
it's interesting.
And obviously some, I don't know, pear, apricot, a little more like Glenfiddich actual flavor profile in there. Do get a barrel underneath, but it is like that more of a burst of like, I think it is like cold Concord grapes, and that's probably not even what they are, but and it's like a crispness to it too, which is what I was saying when it was cold. It was like it's like a crisp note. But yeah, a couple more fruits in there, like an apricot.
Yeah, this is definitely in stone fruit territory. Peach, apricot,
peach. That's the one I was trying to. Kind of an overlapping smell of a couple of them in there, and they roll really well together in this.
Right.
So I don't know if this one's gonna jump into my list or not, but I figured we could at least give it a try.
It's all about trying.
Yeah. And this is not the way I would think about it of a Christmas drink, because it is. I usually think warmer and kind of heartier when you're done. But I don't know. We'll see here.
It's not a long finish.
No, you would think that ice wine would be more overpowering on the flavor. And I find it there, but I think the normal Glenfiddich is still like leading the charge.
Yeah. And that finish, it almost drops off a cliff.
Yeah, it's concentrated just like the ice wine. It's there's your finish. It's right there, and then all right, see you later, and just kind of a little bit of the lingering Glenfiddich afterwards.
Yeah, like you get when that ice wine hits like halfway through or 3/4, then it, like you said, it's gone on the finish, and then it's just kind of left with like a leftover Glenfiddich, but like a dry wine finish, like to your tongue, where it's kind of sucking all the flavor out of it.
This would be a really good whiskey to give someone who was a wine person and wanting to get whiskey, but also a really bad idea to give them, because it's hard to get. It's a pain in the neck, and finding one that's not ludicrously priced is kind of hard.
It does have a nice earthy notes in the middle too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm getting a little bit of that malty funk to it, but it's just all wrapped in that sweet fruit.
Mm-hmm.
Now you said wrapped. It's almost like a candy.
Mm-hmm.
It's like
Yeah.
you got the candy flavor, the covering coating,
Yeah.
and then you get down into like the real like meat and potatoes of it. Where
Yeah.
it's just kind of tainting, but like kind of covering, coating the real flavor slightly, and then it's like gone. I don't know. I don't mind this.
Not at all. No, this is
Um,
nice. This is in some older Glenlibby, Glen Grant territory for me. I've had a 21-year-old Glen Grant there's a lot of similar notes that remind me.
Yeah. It taking away other considerations like availability and price or whatever, it's nice.
Yeah.
It's very nice. It's very pleasant. It's pleasant on the palate. I could see a lot of people liking it for different reasons. Especially, like wine people or the holiday here, give it to the family. Here, try this stuff. But just the fact that they made it almost not available and everything else, it just takes everything away. But
and it's another one of those ones where it's only at 43%. So if this was at like 52, I wonder if some of the other, maybe the ice wine doesn't kind of show up as much if it were.
Yeah, I wonder that.
It's going to get burnt out still.
Because the ice wine's pretty intense, concentrated. It's different.
It's almost like I was telling a coworker about Ice Wine Friday because they were asking about some different dessert wines, and that my description was it's like sipping syrup. It's like a sweet almost.
Yeah. It reminded me, I was a kid, when you go to make grape juice and you get the concentrated Welch's and the cardboard with the tin on the sides, and just that taste of that right off the bat until it gets dissipated out. But it's good, but there's a reason that you don't pour a big glass of ice wine because unless you want diabetes or something. But.
It's like the little schnapps sifters that my grandma used to have.
Yeah, exactly.
Oof. All right. You can go back again to it, but if you poured a big glass, you're not getting through it.
Well, it's interesting because sipping this is odd, but I just have the impression that this is something I want to drink chilled.
Yeah.
I could see that too.
Either put it on some ice or stick it in the fridge like you would an ice wine or a Riesling or something of that nature.
I think it would just to bring the cold to the fluid.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Not even like flavor-wise, just to get like a little bit colder that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a nice. Well, try it that way too. I like that idea. I don't know if it's gonna crawl up onto my list, but it is really. When we were saying it could be good for a wine drinker, yeah, I can clearly see that. I think for me, being a whiskey guy, this tastes a little more wine-like to me.
Yes.
Like overall flavor profile and everything. I wouldn't be able to tell. Well, maybe I would because it would be 12% or something, but I would have a hard time telling that this wasn't a wine. Like if you handed this to me, I'd be like, oh, it's kind of a punchy wine. I kind of like this.
Yeah.
But it being double what a wine is or triple in some cases, it shows it's taming a little bit more that way.
Yeah, I'm getting some kind of a chalky minerality to it. This is, to me, it's putting it right in the territory of like a late harvest Riesling or a Gewürztraminer, the kind of a German wine or Austrian wine that you see that's usually very sweet, a lot of the same kind of peach and stone fruit notes. So this is, right in that territory.
It's got just enough of like the earthiness, like in the midway through it to kind of. That's what gives it away to me as being like a whiskey.
And I just caught a hint of that little bit of a Glenfiddich. To me, it's a classic Glenfiddich pear note that's kind of trying to fight its way to the surface there, and it was there for a moment and then gone. But
got hidden away.
Yeah.
Well, let's see here. As far as the top 3 Christmas whiskeys for me, One of them I'm gonna say is a Midwinter Nights Dram, not only just because of it itself, but the name is very fitting.
Yeah.
Way to go, marketing team! You got me on that one. I feel like I should have this if it's just snowing outside. Let's see. Then my other one, I'm gonna have to pour a little bit of it because I got it here. It is also a Glenfiddich, which I find odd, but
Oh, the Fire and Cane. That's good.
I am
stuff.
going with the Fire and Cane.
Yeah.
Because I like the finish on this. I like the little bit of rum in it, which kind of reminds me of some like a little bit of flavored eggnog or like the spices from it. A little bit of cinnamon. I don't know. This is the one I would lean towards, and I think it's a little bit richer than the Winter Storm.
Yeah.
Flavor profile wise, but that's a much cleaner, nice one. I think this one's a little more aggressive for me on this. So I like Fire and Cane. And affordability wise, I'm going to switch over to just a Redbreast 12. Just something light, buttery, little nice texture, kind of a morning could mix in your coffee drink on Christmas. So I think those are the three I'm going to go with. So there's clearly hundreds that could meet the list of requirements for it, but I was kind of thinking the new Glenfiddich might kick this off the ledge and take its spot. So
I can see this.
no, it's the peatiness in here.
Yeah, that Fire and Cane's hard to beat, and it's accessible.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's just it's the peaty, smoky flavor in here that hits with the rum and the other spices. And then the peat sticks around like smoky flavor. Yeah, I'm more at home there.
And the price really puts that very accessible, I think, too, because it's right there close to the 12 year, isn't it?
Yeah, it's kind of like that Talisker Storm one where it's like 40, 50, 40-ish bucks somewhere in that ballpark range. And I'm like, really, for this, that's a hell of a good deal.
Yeah.
I'm like, really, really good deal for what you're getting. So yeah, those are the three I'm going to stick with. I think I like my choices, but I can't wait to hear your guys' ones.
Go for it, Mike.
All right. So my three, which I actually just poured the first one, the Game of Thrones Kleinleash. After trying this, I didn't really get into the show. I don't have HBO anyway, but after trying it, it's like I got to go get more. And luckily, there was a place not marking any of them up, and they had these for I think $50, which was really pretty good for all the Game of Thrones stuff. But I mean, yeah, this Kleinleash at 51.2%, and it's just got that, just lots of fruit. You know, it's just that fruit and cooked meat and everything else. And it's just, I mean, there's not peaty or anything like that, but there's a lot of citrus and baking spice to it, and it just really tastes like Christmas. And I like this one a lot, but not enough that I drink a lot of it. That's the one downside to it. The other one that I got for holiday is the Booker's 2019-03 Country Ham. And,
oh, son of a bitch!
And it's where did you miss that one?
I've had that one and I really like that one.
Oh my god, it really is. It's like, I don't know if it's power of suggestion. You're drinking it, you're like, yeah, I do have that salty ham thing, but it does. It reminds me of a Christmas ham caramelized on the outside that my dad would make, and it really reminds me a lot. And I mean, the high proof is great, and just like every Booker's is just packed with flavors. And I haven't had Booker's that I didn't like, even ones that I know people had some batches like, oh, that's not as good as the other ones. Well, it's still better than a lot of other stuff that's out there.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
It's kind of, I mean, being a bad Booker's is not a bad thing. But the last one they have is actually not a whiskey, but it's an Armagnac, which I do really like Armagnacs a lot. They're so nice. But this one's more sentimental. It's one that I found that was from 96. And 96 is the year my wife and I bought this house. and it's 23 years old, so it was bottled this year. So it was just more of a sentimental one, but it's this one is 45.4, so it's a little higher than a lot of the Armagnacs that I've had. I haven't had too many really high proof, but I don't want people to go out and go buy a bunch of Armagnacs because I'd like for you to leave those for the others. But oh my God, they're nice.
I've heard nothing but good things about them. And was it Robert Licorice was saying, if you can, the higher proof ones are even better. So if you can find them like super high, grab a bottle.
I'll send you some of this. I'll send you guys both some of it so you can try it. I've had some that were even 40% that really opened up so nice in the bottle. But he's in a really good situation. He was talking about when they were, I think it was when they were talking about making, I think it was Icarus. Mm-hmm. They were with Nancy Fraley, and she whipped out some Armagnacs from the 1800s. It was like, oh, that sounds so nice. That would have to be absolutely unbelievable. But you can. I mean, you can find some Armagnacs, aged Armagnacs for a pretty good price. Higher proof ones I've seen for more. I mean, someday I'd love to try it, but man, that you talk about a mouthfeel on something, and it's like it's got to be like the last thing that I have, because after that, I mean, I'm spoiled.
Yeah, I'm Arthur's looking the same way at it because I'm going to be looking for some too. It's not something I usually was looking up in the liquor stores. Now find myself perusing down another aisle or two, going, well, where do you have any?
It's hard to find them in a store. I think if you ventured down to like Benny's in Chicago or something, you might actually find a selection. But even some of the larger ones around me, they might have one Armagnac, but it's not anything with any age to it. And I don't know enough to know to compare and say to stay away with. I'm sure they taste great, but all I know is I just killed a bottle of 25-year-old Armagnac that I think was $70.
It's not terrible for age-wise in my mind.
I mean, it's really not, and it was fantastic on its own. It was really good with a cigar. It was damn nice around a campfire. And this one, it's a really good flavor explosion. I've had it with a cigar also, and that was really nice. But just the overall mouthfeel and stuff, it's some good stuff.
Nice.
My father-in-law was Swiss. He turned me on to a lot of the German brandies, and then cognac, Armagnac, Calvados, all of those. So the last 10, 15 years, I've really have branched out into those a lot. And Christmas time, things get cold this time of year. That to me, those kind of hit the mark right there. Yeah. So for my three, I was in the same boat as you, Patrick, because I went with Midwinter Night's Dram.
It's hard to argue.
To me, I think it's like Christmas in a glass, basically. The spices, and I guess you could almost say just about any rye would hit right there in kind of what you would think of a Christmas time drink. But the port finish on that, and I don't know what your experience. For me, one of my favorite things about that particular whiskey is I pour a glass, and every single time I raise it to my nose, it is something different. Mm-hmm. It just continuously transforms the glass, and that just kills me. I love it.
Yes. Especially giving yourself like 15 to 30 minutes or something with it, rather than just like 5-10 drinking it. You kind of space it out. It really does.
Yeah, absolutely.
Almost the oxidation kind of keeps pulling different flavors to the surface as it's going. That is pretty neat.
Yeah.
For a second, I thought we lost Mike in mid-drink there. The screen froze up. I was like, holy cow.
That was just my eyes rolling in the back of
my head. My number 2 is Bamor, the 15-year. They're the darkest. To me, that is such a deeply underrated whiskey. And the sherry fruit is just so gorgeous in it. A lot of dates and raisins, nuts, and then you've just got this wonderful background of peat and smoke that's not like punch you in the face, Lefroy or Ardbeg or something, but it's just really pleasant. And to me, it makes just a wonderful glass of whiskey to sit down in the evening with, you know, on like a Christmas night or something like that. So that's what I've poured right here. And it's just a really rich, kind of a decadent Isla, in my opinion. Third bottle, going American, Jack Daniels, the single barrel, the Heritage release. That one, when I took notes on that, my description was this is like a how did I put it? This is a master class on wood. All the different oak and sassafras and maple and all these different wood notes that I got out of it. I feel like I'm walking into some kind of craft wood store with all these wonderful woods in there. It's sweet, it's rich. There's just a lot going on, a lot of complexity to it for Jack Daniels. And to me, that's another wonderful glass that I just love to sit down and just spend a lot of time with and not rush through it. So those are my three top Christmas whiskeys.
And with a bunch of different woods on that one, it can kind of smell like if you're by a campfire or a fire, it help pull different wood notes out as you're throwing stuff on there, I would think. Yeah. That's just me. But and the Balmore sounds like almost like a fruit cake. Like just like the condensed like flavors of like the nuts, the dates, the raisins, and I mean maybe not the bready note, but it's like you're getting kind of this really rich, kind of thick fruit notes to it.
Yeah. And you're getting that rich malty note to it too in there. So yeah, very much like a kind of a fruit cake in that sense, but with just a nice gentle smoke and peat that's there, but it's just not like, you know, punch you in the face kind of thing. So it just makes a really lovely whiskey, and you just don't see it getting a lot of love anywhere, really. You know, a few people talk about it, but I tried this my first trip to Germany. Was introduced to this one, and I've been in love with it ever since. And
I'll give you that. Balmore doesn't seem to, on the global stage, seem to get a whole lot of love in comparison.
no,
Like they'll have like I think they're double wood and something like a couple releases, but you don't really see too much clamoring for it in general. But
right.
From what I've had, it's been a very solid whiskey, but I haven't had anything of the special releases or anything. But it wasn't a letdown, and that usually for me is kind of a big thing.
Right.
Because you go in there with too much expectations and you let me down, then I really don't think too much of what else you could be doing. So like I usually try to go in with like no expectation, like, oh, I'm pleasantly surprised. I'm happy with you guys, you know.
Right.
But no, it's one that you don't see quite enough love for.
Yeah. I think it's pretty cool with having the Jack Heritage on there. Jack's like, aside from the Heritage barrel, they make enough of their stuff to go buy, and it's accessible.
Yeah.
And that is the first time that I had the single barrel proof. I was like, well, you know, that's going to fly off the shelves, but they're so huge. But you can buy that any day. You can buy their single barrel rye at almost any store anywhere, and it's pretty good. It's consistent. Because I mean, single barrel proof has a little variance to it, but for a big distiller like that to put that stuff out, I mean, and it'd be great if they could put out more of that Heritage. But
yes,
it's just so solid.
It is, and that's the one I've got. I think is the 2018 release, and I hate to say the 2019 that I have seen is almost double, or maybe even triple in price.
Yeah,
I got this one for already, and to me, that's a bit of a shame. But the single barrel and the barrel proof in that those are phenomenal whiskeys.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing bad about them in my opinion. I think a lot of people who don't like the standard Jack Daniels, go try a single barrel.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, some of them, they get sick when you mention that. It's like, well, I clearly had a bad experience with it at one time, and it's not Jack. You know, this isn't old number 7. This is totally different.
Yeah.
And anyone that I like the barrel proof, I actually just finished mine off not too long ago. But anyone I give it to, you know, if I told them it was Jack, they're you know. Right. But if you just let them drink it, it's like, yeah, that's Jack's single barrel proof, and everybody was really excited about that. That's good.
I kind of look at that like kind of the way I look at Jameson, where I was like, you kind of have the base expression, but then when you get to like the Distiller Safe and the Cooper's Troll and a couple of the other ones, you're like, okay, well there is someone there that can clearly do some amazing shit. Like, why don't you just focus over here?
Yeah.
They're like, well, I know you need to have your mainstay that you're putting out, but this is phenomenal stuff that you're making over here. Don't, for God's sakes, don't give up on this line. You know what I mean? Keep this around. So yeah, I can see that. And then Arthur here said I'll put it up here. Looks like his the Willet 4-year-old
Nice.
State Rye would be number 3. Little Book chapter 3, The Road Home. Oh, see, now he's using the names of the titles. That does kind of pull you home for Christmas. That's cheating, Arthur. That's cheating. And then Balcones to Froaks. Yeah, well, Froaks.
I want some Froak so bad. I've not had that, and I want Froak.
Yeah, you're not gonna. Nothing wrong on that list. Very good list.
Have you never tried the Froak at all, Mike, or you just?
I haven't. And when I was down Texas twice in the last year, of course they were out both times. But now that that it's out there and they have more, and I've got I don't have a trip planned, but in my mind I'm road tripping down there again, and I hit up Robert Licorice again. It's like I am coming down because they've got something I want down there, but I want to get down there and try to hit some stuff deeper into Texas instead of just over the border.
It's amazing. It really is that, and I've had the Hechiceros as well. And that one just takes it a whole notch above, in my opinion. But they're both just incredible whiskeys. The French oak finishes. Yeah, it's a thing of beauty.
I think I like the Froak more than the Hechiceros one. But that's just me. I think I do. But I don't know. That's the nice thing about them is they have a nice bunch of varieties of like a small distiller. Yeah. Like here's this, and this. Bang, bang, bang.
Yeah.
So Patrick, did we ever figure out are they waterboarding that other gingerbread man?
It doesn't. It looks like they're getting him drunk. It's like they're getting him drunk. They're not waterboarding him.
Yeah.
There would have been a bigger cloth frosting.
Yeah. What does that gingerbread man know?
Right.
He has all the secrets to Christmas. But no, I'm a real boy. I'm a real boy. No, you're not. But no, those are really nice lists, and Arthur's was too. It's a little bit of I want to say left field, but I can see having all those around for Christmas, and your Armagnac is cheating as well. But I've heard nothing but good shit about it, so I'll have to get myself a bottle of that. There's too many people saying too many good things.
Yeah.
And a lot of them are all bouncing off of people who met Nancy Fraley too. It sounds weird, but I mean that's for like some other people up here in the north who met her, and they're like, oh, blah blah blah, and I'm like, well, I didn't hear you talking about that last year. And they're like, oh yeah, well, I hung out with Nancy Fraley. I was like, oh well, this seems to be the defining factor and connection between all of this.
Right.
So,
if her name's involved, it can't be wrong, pretty much.
No, not at all.
Oh, see, I did get a little vote for Froak over Hechiceros. I'll take it, Arthur. I'll take it. But no, I think they're all very good choices. And
so, what are you going to pour on Christmas? Have you decided yet?
There's a lot of people that. Well, the one I'm going to do the review of is going to be the J. Henry and Sons anniversary one. And I probably will pour a little bit of that as well, too, just because it was very chocolate, really rich, like prune, plum notes, it had a lot of flavors in it. It was crazy. I didn't send you guys that one now, but I will be sending out the next batch I send. And I was really surprised. I mean, because I know like the flavor profile from the 5 and the 7-year-old cast strength. And then what they got with the Bellefontaine, which was finished in a cognac barrel, was a lot lighter and everything up front on that. So it was really a different flavor than the 7-year-old. This, I think of it as usually they're a little more, they could fight with Kentucky whiskeys with wood notes and flavors and stuff in it, where they have other flavors in it, but you're still getting a very strong barrel note to it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not like piney or anything like that, but you're getting a nice. But this has a lot of fruit in it, and a lot of fruit and chocolate in it. And I was like, kind of shook me back a bit. So I had a couple drinks and then just let it sit for a bit. I was gonna go back to it, and that's what I'll be pouring there. And then we'll see. Not too many of my family are big whiskey drinkers, so it'll pretty much just be probably me or my nephew that has some. So if it's not too many, it's not hard to bring out a couple other bottles that are a little more expensive, and like, oh sure, we'll bring the Pappy with, and maybe the Rhetoric 24. But what a lot of people learn, and you guys already know, is sometimes those super priced barrels are not. You can a $50-$60 barrel can put, I don't want to say put it to shame, but give it a good run for its money.
Yep, I can.
So I don't know, just always like kind of, it's more of my eye-opening experience for people who are like, well, this is this, and it's $1,200. It's all exciting. I'm like, you had like 4 other ones tonight. Which one is your favorite? This one. I'm like, that was $40.
Right.
That was the $40 one, and yes, I thought it had more flavor too.
Yeah.
But it's, I don't know, maybe a couple things like that. What ones are you guys opening up?
Well, go ahead, Ben.
Honestly, I don't even know. I usually make that decision kind of the day of, so I know, my palate kind of changes from day to day, what I feel like drinking from day to day. So I'll probably wait Christmas Day or that afternoon, and then I'll have an idea as to where I'm leaning. Could go bourbon, could go Scotch, could go Irish. Who knows?
It's true.
Yeah, I'm planning on one in particular, but yeah, like you, if a mood hits too, or if I feel like, I need a break, maybe reach for some Stag Junior or something so I can get punched in the mouth. But, but I've got a bottle I bought last year, independent bottling of Dalmore from Alexander Murray. It was a cast strength, and it is Christmas in a glass, but it's one. I picked up because it was one from '99. It was my son's birth year, and I'm saving. I've got about that much in the bottle, and I'm saving the last bit because he'll turn 21 in May, so it'll be from his birth year in 20, and hopefully I'll have that together. Or if he doesn't like it, I guess I get to have his share. But I might be having some of that for Christmas just because it really was. I mean, it I don't eat fruitcake, but it tastes like fruitcake smells. It's just really intense.
Gotta respect that. Kind of pulls you back into that whole Christmas spirit.
Yeah.
Of course, I do. I like those heavier, thick kind of fruit flavors to it. So
yeah,
can't argue any of those. The ice wine opened up a little bit, flattened out, but yeah, I'm getting a couple more of more of the Glenfiddich coming through. I think I liked it right away off the bat, where the ice wine was kind of fighting more with the Glenfiddich up front with the flavors.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to try that chilled.
Mm-hmm. That might be something for Christmas too.
Yeah.
That's
a little bit of ice wine.
Because for me, it's gone completely opposite. I'm getting all ice wine. It's like sugar frosting, and just going completely towards the wine side of things versus the Glenfiddich. So
it always makes me feel like my taste buds are broken. I know they're not, but it's just like one of those ones you're like, are you just saying that to screw with me, Ben? But that's excellent.
Mess with the nose.
Yeah, mess with my nose. That's definitely worth it. But we're about an hour in here, so I think we'll probably call it good for this episode. And we want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas out there. We especially Ben and Mike for stopping on. I hope it goes nice and smooth over the next couple days. No crazy trips anywhere or anything. Just nice in the house. Everything going the way it's supposed to go.
Yeah,
that would be lovely.
It would be fantastic.
I want to say that because we all know it rarely ever goes that way. So,
yeah.
but to you guys and everyone out there, cheers. It's not the size of the den that matters. It's the love of whiskey.
Cheers.
Cheers. Merry Christmas, guys.
And I do like the fire and cane better, I think. It's the weird little bite of peat in it.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm cheating, but yeah.